Hey guys and welcome back. So today's tutorial gonna be a super special because we are going to use Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects all together to create this animation. Yes guys, in this video we are going to create LinkedIn logo animation. So before I start the video, remember the drill, hit that like button and subscribe button. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. So first of all, I am in Photoshop. I have this LinkedIn logo over here, and as always we need all these things on the separate layer. So I'll select this L, I'll hit Ctrl X, create a new layer, press Ctrl Shift V to paste in place, and we are going to follow this procedure for each and every element like this. So simply select your object, hit Ctrl X, create new layer, press Ctrl Shift V. So I'm gonna do this procedure for all of them, for this K also, but as you can see this K is quite difficult to select, so I'll hit Ctrl D to deselect, and I'll press L on my keyboard to select this lasso tool, and then I'm gonna select this carefully like this and hit Ctrl X, create new layer, press Ctrl Shift V, and again I'm going to select my rectangle tool, and let's hide all of these alphabets so we can easily focus on our remaining letters. So hit Ctrl X, create new layer, press Ctrl Shift V, then select this D, hit Ctrl X, create a new layer, press Ctrl Shift V, and this iron is on the separate layer like this. Okay, so save this Photoshop file. So our Photoshop work is done. Now we have to do certain things in Adobe Illustrator, so let's straight jump into it. So I am in Adobe Illustrator. I have this illustration which I have got from freepik.com. I have provided the link in the description, so you can do check it out now or instead of later also. So yep, I have this illustration. So we don't want this background, so I'll delete it. We don't want this background also, but before that, this as you can see, this canvas is a little bit small, so I have created another canvas which is 1920 by 180 only pixels. So I'm gonna select this portion. I'll hit Ctrl C to copy. I'll go to this canvas and I'll press Ctrl V to paste it. As you guys can see, all of these are in the form of groups. So first thing we need to do, simply right click and ungroup it like this, so we will get this remain extra elements. So I'll delete this. I don't want this background also, so I'll delete that also. The only thing I want is over these things. Yeah, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select this book. I'll hit Ctrl X to create a new layer. I'll go over here and I'll press Ctrl Shift V. I'll call it as book and hit OK, and let's hide this for now. Then we have this magnifying glass, so I'll hit Ctrl X, create a new layer and press Ctrl Shift. I'll call it as MG only, short form like this. Then we have this back, hit Ctrl X, create a new layer, press Ctrl Shift V like this. We have this search icon also, so I'll hit Ctrl X, create a new layer, press Ctrl Shift V. Then we have this pen. I'll hit Ctrl X, create a new layer, press Ctrl Shift V. Let's call it as pen. Then we have this lappy, so right click and hit ungroup. We need to select this portion like this and hit Ctrl X, create a new layer and press Ctrl Shift V, double click and let's call it as screen. Select this and let's call it as bold, and we'll select this pen, and then we have this search icon. So now select this, right click and choose ungroup like this, and let's go over here, and as you can see we have this much portion. So select this search icon which is in the form of group, hit Ctrl X, create new layer and press Ctrl Shift V. Let's call it as search and hit OK. Then we have this dark element, so hit Ctrl X, create new layer, press Ctrl Shift V. We are not gonna name anything to these two things, so let's hide this for now. Now we have to focus on this back. Then I'll hide this pen and screen also like this. Then I'm gonna select this, I'll hit ungroup. Then we have this and this. I'll hit Ctrl X and I'll press Ctrl Shift V like this, and let's select this, right click and ungroup. I don't want these two things, so I'll delete it. I want only this much portion like this. Okay, and this is just the extra handle, so I'll hit Ctrl X, I press Ctrl Shift V like this. Okay, then let's call it as 1. Then this should be at the second position, so I'll name it as 2 and I'll name it as 3, and let's hide this. Now we don't need to add some extra elements to this magnifying glass, so that's okay. And now we have to focus on this book, so for that what I'm gonna do, right click and make this ungroup like this. Select this, right click and ungroup again. Then we have to select this, right click and ungroup. Then we have to select this and this and this. But if you see, this is one thing only, so hit Ctrl X, create a new layer, new layer, and press Ctrl Shift V, and then I'm gonna make it ungroup. Then I'll select this much portion only, and hit Ctrl X, create a new layer, and press Ctrl Shift V, and let's hide this for now. Now we have to select this page, so I'll select this page, but make sure you this time you're not gonna cut it out. All you need to do, simply hit Ctrl C to copy, create a new layer, and press Ctrl Shift V, bring this at the top, and now enable this lines. We will select this, we will hit Ctrl X, and we will select this page, and we will press Ctrl Shift V, and let's name it as page. Okay, so we will get something like this. And now we will select this extra layer and we will delete it, we don't need that. Okay, so our illustration is almost ready. Now it's time to animate those things, so I'll save this illustration also. Now we need to jump in Adobe After Effects, so I'll go over here, I'll create a new composition, I'll name it as main animation, and width 1920, height 180, and frame rate let's choose 30 seconds, not 3 but 30. Duration is 30, background color is white, and simply hit OK and hit OK. Choose grid and guide option and hit on title selection. Press Ctrl I on your keyboard. First thing first, we need to animate this Illustrator file, so I'll select this Illustrator file, footage, composition, return layers and sizes, and simply hit import, and we will bring this over here. Now we have to animate those things, so let's go over here. Now let's select this page like this, and we'll go to the effect and presets panel, and we have to select page CC page turn and double click to apply, and if you see, we can easily animate this page like this. Now if you see the like direction, etc., all this stuff. Now in render, front, back page, in back page just one like this, and in controls, as you can see the bottom right corner, let's choose top left corner, and let's see what will happen. If I move this anchor point over here, as you can see, we will get something like this. Okay, so we are gonna get something like this. So now we don't need to move this totally, but we want just for the animation purpose. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move this thing only here, and then I'm gonna select this book, this whatever extra stuff we have over here. Let's select this, yeah, and press Ctrl Shift C and to make it a pre-comp, and let's call it as book, and hit OK like this. Press Y, and I'm gonna move this over here like this. Then select this book, press P for position, create one keyframe, zoom in a little bit. Let's go to around, let's say 20 frames, and create another keyframe. Let's go to the start, press V, and we will bring this book downwards. Now select this book, hit F9, go to the graph editor. As you can see, the graph is like that, but we don't want this type of graph. So for what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna simply right click and choose edit speed graph. Select the speed graph, and by holding shift we'll move this handle over here. So now whenever this book is gonna come somewhere around over here, we'll go inside this, we will select this page, and we will choose this folding option, and we will create one keyframe over here. We will hit U, and we will go to somewhere around 2 seconds, and we will move this over here. Now let's select those keyframes and hit F9, and if you want, then you can select this, you can select this keyframe, and you can adjust the anchor point somewhere around over here also like this. So we will get this kind of animation, and if you see this animation over here, we will get the little bit of page turn animation for this. And if you want, then you can select this page turn, hit Ctrl D to duplicate it, hit U, you can select not this one but these keyframes, you can bring them over here a little bit, so we will get to those two types of animation. And you can, I think we need to move this over here, so we'll get something like this and then this. So we'll get these two animations just for the extra stuff. Okay, so our book animation is done, so let's lock this now. Now we have to focus on this bag, so I'm gonna select all these three layers and I'll press Ctrl Shift C and I'll call it as bag and hit OK. Let's double click. Now this is gonna be my main portion of this entire bag. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select this layer, let's bring this downwards. I'll press Y to select your pen behind tool, and by holding Ctrl I'll snap this anchor point at the bottom. Now I'm going to select all of them and I'll make it apparent with this 2. Now select this shape, I mean this 2 layer, sorry, and press P for position, create one keyframe, zoom in a little bit, go to around 1.15 or something, then let's go to the start, press V and let's bring this totally upward like this. Okay, then we'll get something like this. Then after that, let's create another keyframe, go over here and let's bring this again over here. So now select those keyframe, hit F9, go to the graph editor, select this graph, holding shift, move this handle over here, select this and move this handle over here. Zoom in a little bit, select those keyframe, move this handle over here and this handle over here, select this, move this handle over here, select this and move this handle over here. So if we hit play now, we will get this kind of animation. And if you think the animation is quite slow, what you are gonna do, you simply select all the keyframes and by holding Alt, either you can move this over here, so we'll get something like this, or you can simply select the last keyframes and move them a little bit forward, so we will get something like this. By holding Alt, again increase the duration and let's move this over here. Now zoom in a little bit, let's go over here, select this this layer, hit page down button again. Now select this, press S for scaling option and let's unlink this chain, create one keyframe over here, hit U, go over here and let's increase the size of x-axis and decrease the size of y-axis like this. Then go few frame forwards, then let's make it 100 again, all this value, so we will get some stretch animation and hit F9. So if you see over here, we will get that bounciness. And if you think the bounciness is too much, all you need to do, simply select this keyframe and move this a little bit forward, so resting of this animation will take time. Also this keyframe should be over here like this, and if you want, then you can decrease this a little bit like this. And after that, select this keyframe, hit Ctrl C and hit Ctrl V and let's move this over here. And let's make this like this and move this a little bit forward. So if you see this animation now, we will get something like this, and I think we need to move this over here only. And at this point, let's make this 80. So if you see this animation now, we'll get something like this. Now we will select these two things, and now we need to animate the position of these ones. So press P for position, create one keyframe, go over here, and at this point what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring this downwards a little bit, not too much but this much only, and let's move this keyframe over here. I want this to start move from here. Then at this point I am gonna move them totally upward like this, and then I'm gonna select the first keyframe. I'll hit Ctrl C, Ctrl V, then select those keyframe and hit F9 like this, sorry, yeah. And at this point again I'll hit Ctrl C, Ctrl V, all this keyframe, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, select those keyframe by holding Alt, decrease the duration like this. And at this point, at this point, instead of this much downwards, I'll move this a little bit upward. Okay, like this. So if I see this, I'll get a little bit cartoonic effect on it. Okay, now let's select this and let's move this over here. Select this and let's move this over here. And now if I say this, I think that much not, hit simply go start, hit page down button, move this over here, page down button, move this over here, like this. And select all of them and don't forget to enable the motion blur. So if I see, I'll get these two animations. Okay, so now we have this laptop and then we have this keyboard. Select this keyboard and bring this over here. Select this screen and make it apparent with this keyboard. Now select this keyboard, press P for position, create one keyframe, go over here, create another keyframe, go to the start and let's move this over here. Select those keyframe, hit F9, go to the graph editor, select this graph, holding shift, let's move this over here. So we'll get something like this. Now select this screen, press Y by holding control, move this anchor point over here and convert this layer into 3D. Press R for rotation and at this point let's rotate it on X rotation. Let's make this 90. Create one keyframe over here, go few frame forward and let's make this 0 complete. Select those keyframe and hit F9. And if you want, then move this over here only, so it will start from here. And now after this animation, I want this back should start animate, so I'll move this over here. And now I want this magnifying glass should animate, so I'll hit W to rotating tool and I'll rotate it like this and I'll move this over here. Then I'll go to the effect and presets panel and I'll search for wiggle position and double click to apply, so we'll get this wiggle animation. Go to the start, press S, create one keyframe, go few frame forwards, create another keyframe, go to the start again and let's make this 0. Select those keyframe, hit F9, go to the graph editor, select this graph, holding shift, let's move this over here. So we will get something like this. Now select this magnifying glass, press P for position, create one keyframe over here. Then let's move this over here, and after a few frames over here, and then over here, and again over here, and then again copy the first keyframe. Now select this, hit F9, alt click on the stopwatch and type loop out expression on it, like this. Now select those keyframe, and if you want, then you can adjust the distance between them. And let's zoom out a little bit. Select all the keyframes by holding alt, let's drag it up to here. Then go to the graph editor, select this graph, holding shift, let's move this handle over here and this handle over here. So if you hit play, we will get this kind of animation. Let's select this magnifying glass and bring this at the top, like this. Now we have this search icon, select all the search things and let's bring them at the top a little bit, and let's bring this over here. Now we have to animate this. For that, what you gonna do, you can simply press S for scaling option, create one keyframe, zoom in a little bit, or let's make go to 1 second and create another keyframe, go to the start and let's make it 0 completely. Select those keyframe, hit F9, go to the graph editor and adjust the graph. Then first animate this and then this, so I'll get something like this. Let's select this and move this after magnifying glass. Okay, so our illustration portion is done. Now let's go to the main animation comp. If you see, we have something like this. Now I have this pen over here, so I'll hit Ctrl X to move this out of this composition and I'll bring this over here. and I want this pen should be like this, so I will rotate it like this. So first they are animating, and then I want this pen should appear and do certain things. So let's select this pen. I'll move this over here, press P for position. Let's create one keyframe, goes over here and create another keyframe, then go to the start and let's bring this totally up to here out of this composition, somewhere around like this. Select those keyframe, hit F9, go to the graph editor, right click, choose edit speed graph, select this and holding shift, let's move this over here, so I'll get something like this. Okay, now select this pen, press S, create one keyframe, go few frames forwards and let's make this 80%. Now select those keyframe and hit F9 like this. Okay, and after that what I'm gonna do is, you can see it looks like this pen is grabbing this thing. So now what I'm gonna do after this, hit U. So now I'm gonna press Ctrl Shift D to duplicate it, and as you guys can see we have this second pen over here. So to recognize it, I'll change the color of this yellow, so it's gonna be easy to recognize. And then I'm gonna select this pen, I'll hit U, and I don't want any position keyframe for this second one. Okay, then I'm gonna select this illustration and then I'm gonna make it apparent with this pen, so it's gonna be something like this. Then select this, let's move the scale keyframe over here, select those keyframe, go to the graph editor, select this graph, let's move this over here and move this over here. Okay, now select this pen, press R for rotation, create one keyframe, hit U. Let's go over here and now rotate this. I'll rotate it like this, and then I'll rotate it like this, so it will look like this is gonna smash that entire stuff. Then select those keyframe, hit F9, go to the graph editors, select this graph, holding shift, let's move this over here and let's move this over here, and then after that it should look like it's gonna smash it. So let's select this, let's move this over here and move this over here. Okay, so now let's select this last keyframe and we'll bring this a little bit forward. Select all the keyframes by holding Alt. I'll drag it somewhere around over here. Now select all of them and let's enable this motion blur and let's look at this animation. Okay, let's go inside this illustration and select all of them and enable the motion blur like this. Now after this point, let's select this. After this point I'm gonna select all of them, I'll press Ctrl Shift C and I'll call it as animation and hit OK. Then I'll press Ctrl Shift D to cut it out, and then I'm gonna select this, I'll right click and I'll choose time freeze frame. Okay, and now I'm gonna apply one effect called pixel poly. Double click to apply, and let's move this composition over here. So if you see, it's gonna act from start, so let's move this over here like this, and now we have to, so now what we need to do, we need to do certain things. So let's increase the force, so it will increase the forces, and let's grid space, let's make 10 and let's see, and let's make it 4 maybe, and 10 speed randomness, make this 100. Okay, direction randomness against 100 and let's see. Okay, so if I see this animation from the start, let's enable this motion blur and let's see. Okay, so this is the animation of this illustration. Now we have to focus. Let's enable this motion blur for this, and now we will focus on our logo. So press Ctrl I and select this LinkedIn logo and import it, add footage, composition, rate and layers and sizes, and simply hit import and hit OK. Let's double click and Ctrl A to select all of them, Ctrl C to copy them, and then hit Ctrl V in our main animation comp, and let's bring this over here. Right click, new, and create one null object. Select all of them and make it parent with this null one. Select this null one, press S and scale it like this. Okay, at appropriate size. Let's adjust it totally at the middle of it. Press P for position and adjust it at the middle. And let's delete this null object. Now select all of them and let's move this over here. Then press P for position, create one keyframe, go few frame forward, create another keyframe, go to the start, then I'll go to the align tab and align it somewhere around over here like this. And at this point I'm gonna select this and I'll move this totally up to here. Let's go to the start, press S, create one keyframe, hit page down button 2 times, create another keyframe, go to the start and let's make this 0, and select all the keyframes and hit F9 for the scale animation. Then press P for position, select all the keyframes and hit F9. Let's go to the graph editor, select this graph, holding shift, let's move this over here and let's move this over here. Select this, let's move this over here, select this and let's move this over here. So I'll get something like this. And now select all the keyframes, position, right click, keyframe interpolation, continuous bezier, choose linear, and again hit F9 because we have to adjust the graph editor again. So let's select those keyframe, I mean the graph editor, and again we need to move this over here. Select this and let's move this over here, select this and move this over here. Then press R for rotation, create one keyframe, hit U, go to the last keyframe and let's make this one complete rotation. Press R again, let's select those keyframes, hit F9, go to the graph editor, select this graph, holding shift, let's move this over here, select this and let's adjust it over here. So if I play, I'll get something like this. Now press P again, let's select all of them, again right click, keyframe interpolation, and let's choose continuous bezier and hit OK. I think we need to choose that only, so this looks quite good. Then now hit page down button and let's move this over here, and we need to adjust it something like this. Okay, so now I want this should start from here, so let's select all of them and let's move this over here and let's bring this downwards. So now, and select all of them and choose blurriness. And hit U. Let's select these two animation comp and I'll press Ctrl Shift C and I'll call it as illustration animation and hit OK. Go to the effect and presets panel and search for color, and you will get this first effect called color blue wash. So simply double click to apply. After applying this effect, what we need to do, simply select this U and we will make this 180 like this. Our saturation, let's choose 0, and lightness, let's make it 25. So our color is also looking good with this logo. And then if you want, then you can also apply brightness and contrast, and you can increase the brightness of and decrease the brightness of it like this. and you can adjust the contrast of it, and you will get this kind of stuff. Then press Ctrl Y to create a solid background layer and choose white color, and let's bring this over here. So we'll get first this animation, then this. Okay, so this is how, with the help of this 2 or 3 softwares, we can create this kind of logo reveal inside of After Effects. So yep, that's it for the today's video. We will see you in my next video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial, and if you like this tutorial, then please consider to subscribe this channel and also hit the bell icon to get more updates. And if you want to create some more interesting animations like this, then check out these 2 videos. I'll see you in my next video. Until then, stay tuned.